Welcome to the free audiobook version of The Everyday Pain Guide, your go-to guide when pain first strikes. Hi, I'm Dr. Ya-Ling Liu, and the podcast is taking a little detour to make my new book available in an audio-friendly version for everyone out there. Each episode will feature a bite-sized snippet from the book, and together we'll work our way through as much of it as is possible in this format. What's exciting about this is that I'm reading parts of the book to you before it's even available on the shelves. Plus, unlike with a traditional audiobook, you can engage with the content and chat with me about what you hear. You get to ask questions and tell me what you think as each episode rolls out. So sit back and relax as I bring you today's installment of the second book in the Everyday Pain Guide series, Fix the Fire Damage. In the last episode, I introduced the 6 types of garbage that can mess with your potentially pain-causing body inflammation levels. There are the sneaky 3 and the big 3. The sneaky 3 are the 3 types of biological quirks that we humans sometimes come equipped with, and these quirks can make certain types of incoming garbage in our food, liquids, air, soaps, or lotions more impactful to our overall body burden of inflammation. The big 3, on the other hand, are the 3 universally inflammatory types of garbage that add to our inflammation burden no matter who we are. But whether or not we notice it by developing symptoms depends on how much total garbage burden our body is already dealing with. Today, as we continue with the Body Chemistry Repair Guide Part 1, I'll be introducing the idea of garbage influencers and garbage journeys. And if you're listening to these episodes out of order, the term garbage here is used to describe the things that enter and impact our biology, like food, liquids, air, soaps, or lotions. Let's continue with the 4th installation of the chapter entitled Body Chemistry Repair Guide Part 1. A quick reminder that the information, techniques, and suggestions discussed here are not intended as a substitute for your own individual medical care. Please consult a healthcare provider before implementing any advice referenced here. Eliminate or support. If you have worked with a functional medicine or a naturopathic doctor already, you may have heard of the elimination diet. The name itself sounds a bit ominous, doesn't it? Elimination suggests deprivation, and you're right if you think that this sounds difficult. The basics of an elimination diet involve 3 to 6 weeks of avoiding possible trigger foods like nuts, corn, soy, dairy, citrus fruits, nightshade vegetables, wheat, foods containing gluten, pork, eggs, and seafood. Then, each food is reintroduced slowly to watch for reactivity, which is intended to help identify your individual problematic incoming garbage. Unfortunately, this approach ends up demonizing specific foods rather than finding ways to support your body's ability to handle disruptive garbage in the real world. It also assumes that you have a precise metric by which you can accurately assess whether or not a particular food is a problem for you when you add it back into your diet. Biochemical burdens don't necessarily manifest with an immediate and obvious symptom. More commonly, detectable reactions to food occur after an accumulation of stress. So if you add a suspected trigger food back after an elimination diet and you don't have an immediate reaction, you might deem that food as a non-issue moving forward, not realizing that it's not a true reflection because your tolerance for it can diminish over time depending on your ever-changing overall body burden. In theory, the elimination diet can provide useful information for some people, but it's also important to weigh the marginal benefit of this partially unreliable information with the emotional strain that can result from the strict dietary limitations, even if only temporary. Consider instead the simplicity of letting your body take care of getting the garbage out first and foremost. Decrease your burden, not by depriving yourself, but instead by supporting your body's natural elimination processes. Think less about all the quote unquote bad garbage going in that you cannot always control, and think instead more about how you can harness and optimize your garbage influencers, whose job it is to keep your body machine clean and efficient. Get to know your garbage influencers. These influencers are the Rube Goldberg machine style springs, ramps, and redirects at different locations along the journey inside the machine. Garbage influencers create various actions and reactions along each of the 3 possible journeys through your body machine. They can determine how things move through and interact along the way from start to finish. Some garbage influencers play a key role in extracting and utilizing useful garbage, while others work to neutralize, isolate, and expel useless and burdensome garbage. Essentially, our garbage gets sorted into 2 piles, keep or toss. At this point in the book, there are now 2 very important diagrams depicting each of the 3 garbage journeys through your body machine. You'll see the path traveled for each one, the structures involved, and a few key garbage influencers. You'll be able to see where along the way those influencers intervene and what they do. Why all 3 garbage journeys are important. If you look carefully at each garbage journey from start to finish, you'll see that despite each unique corresponding pathway at the start, all garbage intake at some point, whether by ingestion, inhalation, or absorption, ends up in the blood transport system. Microscopic components of food, liquids, air, soaps, and lotions all end up in our blood, one way or another. Blood is the superhighway that delivers these components all over the body, and whatever isn't used, what I like to call garbage out, gets escorted to the 4 exit points: the bladder, colon, lungs, and skin. The idea that your unused ingested food and liquids get expelled via stool and urine is intuitive, but think also of how your breath and sweat can smell when you eat a lot of garlic. This is a clear example of how components of what you ingest exit not only through the digestive tract, how they entered, but also through your skin and lungs via sweat and exhaled breath. By being transported through the blood, the things we inhale through the lungs or absorb through the skin can similarly end up being eliminated not just by exhalation or sweating, but also in our stool and urine. For example, viruses, which are known to enter the body via air, can be found in fecal matter, which is why testing sewage is a mode of detecting viral outbreaks like norovirus, hepatitis, adenovirus, COVID-19, and more. Things that pass through our skin can also show up in blood tests. For example, a popular sunscreen chemical, oxybenzone, and much less commonly and downright rare, but quite memorable, is a tropical parasite that can enter the human body through the skin, usually the feet. This parasite is a roundworm found in the soil of tropical regions. It's known as Strongyloides stercoralis. An infection with this parasite will be detected in blood, but its larvae can also be found in the stool of an infected human. So you see, any garbage that enters the body machine, regardless of which entry point it starts at, will end up depositing some version of itself in our blood. The blood superhighway eventually carries and delivers all garbage to a few key garbage influencers for processing before our waste byproducts can be safely and selectively eliminated through the colon, bladder, skin, and lungs. To better take control of our body chemistry, it's helpful to get better acquainted with the garbage influencers responsible for processing our garbage. The journey that garbage travels when entering as food, liquid, air, soaps, or lotions is unique to each type, but after it reaches the blood transport system, all types of garbage eventually get shuttled to and through three main influencers for sorting: liver, kidneys, and the lymph nodes of our lymphatic system. When we better understand not just these three, but all of our garbage influencers, what they are and what they do, we can either better assist them or get out of their way to allow for optimal garbage elimination. When it's not possible to avoid burdensome garbage, caring for our garbage influencers can be the easiest, most sustainable way to ease our overall garbage burden, which in turn decreases inflammation levels, both the simmering kind and the full-blown versions. With this in mind, when you are thinking of controlling your overall inflammatory garbage burden, please remember to think about all of your garbage influencers as a way to tackle your total load. Remember, when your total garbage load is high, the incoming garbage burden is greater than your outgoing garbage. And this imbalance in the equation can contribute to your experience of pain and inflammation from that backup. That completes another bite-sized installation of the chapter entitled Body Chemistry Repair Guide Part 1 from Volume 2 of the Everyday Pain Guide series, Fix the Fire Damage. Don't forget to check the links in the show notes for how to get your free year-long subscription to my Substack publication, Better Pain Coping. It's a place for conversation where you can also share your reactions, questions, and personal experiences with pain. Better Pain Coping on Substack is also where you'll get to preview some of the illustrations, photos, or diagrams included in this episode, as well as any research references that informed this material. I'll also be posting videos over there sharing my own reactions, deeper context, and thoughts that just didn't make it into the book. I really look forward to seeing you over there. Here's today's parting question. I want to know if you've ever tried the elimination diet. Has that ever been recommended for you? If so, what was your experience with it? I think anything heavy on deprivation can be tricky to navigate, but maybe you found it helpful. Let's chat about that or anything else that came up for you from today's episode over on Substack. In the next episode, we'll be looking at 6 different garbage influencers that impact the journey of food and liquids as they traverse our body machine. See you then. This episode was an excerpt from The Everyday Pain Guide, your go-to guide when pain first strikes. Written and narrated by me, Dr. Ya-Ling Liu, with audio editing and production provided by Organized Sound Productions. Do you have questions or comments about today's episode? You can shoot me an email anytime at hello@stopeverydaypain.com. That's HELLO@stopeverydaypain.com. If you have friends or family members who you know are struggling with persistent, recurring aches and pains, tell them to check out the podcast while they're waiting for the book. To help me get this information to as many people who need it as possible, please consider leaving an honest review, but I'd also be super grateful for a simple like, follow, or share. Thank you for helping me put a stop to everyday pain.